The Silent Watchers. High above Earth's atmosphere, Dr. Elena Santos stared at the data streaming across her quantum display and felt her heart skip a beat. After 15 years of searching, she'd finally found proof. They were being watched, not by one advanced civilization, but three. "Director Morrison," she called out, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "You need to see this." The director of Earth's Deep Space Intelligence Division approached her station, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays. The laboratory, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Atacama Desert, hummed with the sound of quantum processors analyzing deep space signals. "Look at these radiation patterns." Elena highlighted 3 distinct energy signatures. They're artificially generated, designed to be virtually undetectable. But they've been there all along, watching us, recording us, judging us. Morrison's expression darkened as he studied the data. "How long?" "Based on the decay patterns, at least 2 centuries. They've been monitoring our every step into space, every triumph, every failure." Elena pulled up another display, showing the sources of the signals. 3 different galaxies, 3 different civilizations, all watching us like we're some primitive curiosity in their cosmic zoo. Morrison straightened, his jaw set. "Show me the intercepts." Elena's fingers danced across the quantum interface, decoding the signals they'd captured. The translations appeared on screen, and with each line, her anger grew. "Species shows minimal potential for advancement beyond planetary confines. Recommend continued observation without contact." Andromeda Council. Primitive nuclear technologies pose no threat to galactic stability. Classification. Level 0 civilization. Triangulum hegemony. Earth species demonstrates concerning aggressive tendencies. Surveillance will continue until natural extinction or social collapse. And 33 collective. Morrison read each assessment in silence, his expression unreadable. Finally, he spoke. "They don't know about Phoenix Protocol, do they?" Elena shook her head. "No. The quantum shielding worked. They have no idea what we've built beneath the surface of every major celestial body in our solar system. No clue about the fleet. For 30 years, humanity had suspected they weren't alone. For 30 years, they'd prepared in secret, building technologies that their watchers thought impossible for such a primitive species. Deep beneath the surfaces of Mars, Europa, Titan, and dozens of other moons and asteroids, humanity had constructed shipyards and research facilities. They'd cracked the secrets of quantum propulsion, developed weapons that could tear holes in space-time, and built a fleet of ships that would make their observers' most advanced vessels look like ancient sailing ships in comparison. "Send the signal," Morrison ordered. "It's time for Operation Dawn." Elena's hand hesitated over the quantum communicator. "Sir, once we do this, there's no going back. We'll be revealing everything we've built." "They've watched us stumble and crawl for 200 years, Dr. Santos. They've dismissed us as primitives, waited for us to destroy ourselves, treated us like bacteria in a petri dish." Morrison's eyes hardened. "It's time to show them how much this bacteria has evolved." Elena entered the command sequence. Throughout the solar system, hidden facilities began powering up. Massive doors opened in the surfaces of moons and asteroids. Ships that had never seen the light of day emerged from their underground berths. The Earth fleet revealed itself for the first time. 500 ships of varying classes, from agile corvettes to massive dreadnoughts, all built with technology that their watchers thought impossible for humanity to achieve. At their head was the EFS Prometheus, humanity's first super dreadnought, a vessel that represented every breakthrough, every secret advancement, every shred of human ingenuity that their observers had missed. "Signal sent to all 3 monitoring stations," Elena reported. "Message reads, to the civilizations that have watched and judged humanity from the shadows. Your assessment of our capabilities has been incomplete. We formally request a meeting of equals. You have 1 Earth Standard Day to respond. We await your reply." Morrison allowed himself a small smile. And now we wait to see how our silent watchers react to their primitive subjects stepping out of the zoo. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet moved into defensive positions. On Earth, military commands worldwide went to high alert status. In underground facilities across the globe, weapons that defied conventional physics were brought online. Humanity had evolved beyond their watchers' expectations, beyond their careful classifications and dismissive assessments. They had done so not through blind luck or alien intervention, but through determination, ingenuity, and the burning desire to prove themselves worthy of the stars. The three galaxies had laughed at humanity's primitive nature for too long. Now it was time for them to learn that sometimes the most dangerous species are the ones you underestimate. As the deadline approached, Alina watched her displays carefully. The first response would tell them everything about how the coming days would unfold. Would their watchers accept humanity's emergence with grace, or would they attempt to put their primitive subjects back in their place? Either way, humanity was ready. They had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, building not just a fleet, but a future where they would never again be dismissed as primitive or unworthy. The quantum display chimed. All three monitoring stations were responding simultaneously. The game was about to begin. Project Prometheus unveiled. The responses from humanity's watchers arrived with calculated precision. Alina Santos and Director Morrison stood in the Prometheus's command center, watching as the messages translated across their quantum displays. The Andromeda Council's message dripped with diplomatic courtesy. We acknowledge your advancement with interest. A delegation will arrive within 3 standard days. The Triangulum hegemony was more direct. Your technological leap requires investigation. Expect our representatives shortly. But it was the M33 Collective's response that set off every warning bell. Unregistered advancement of prohibited technologies detected. Prepare for immediate inspection and containment. Admiral Claire Chen, commander of the Earth Fleet, entered the command center, her uniform bearing the insignia of Project Prometheus. They're coming in force. Long-range quantum sensors detect multiple fleets entering the solar system's outer boundary. Morrison turned to face the towering view screen showing the approaching vessels. Numbers. The Andromedans are sending 3 ships, likely diplomatic. Triangulum, 12 vessels, mostly escorts. But the M33 Collective. Chen's expression hardened. 50 ships, including what appears to be 3 of their extinction-class vessels. Alina studied the sensor data. They're not coming to talk. They're coming to put us back in our cage. Then let's show them why that's not going to work, Chen replied. Activating the fleet-wide communications. All ships, battle positions. Initiate Chimera Protocol. Throughout the solar system, Earth's ships began to move. But they didn't form a traditional defensive sphere around Earth, as their observers might have expected. Instead, they executed a series of precise quantum jumps, appearing and disappearing across the solar system in what seemed like random patterns. Quantum wake generators operating at full capacity, Alina reported. The sensor ghosts are multiplying. Enemy fleets are detecting what appears to be. She smiled. Over 2,000 Earth vessels. It was humanity's first major tactical revelation. Their ships weren't just equipped with advanced weapons. They could create multiple quantum duplicates of themselves, each capable of producing real energy signatures and responding to enemy scanning. The approaching fleets would have no way to distinguish the real ships from the quantum echoes until they were close enough for visual confirmation. The M33 fleet is adjusting course, Chen noted. They're spreading out, trying to counter our numbers, exactly as predicted. Morrison watched the tactical display with satisfaction. They still think they're dealing with primitives who just got lucky with advanced technology. They haven't realized that we've spent decades studying their combat doctrine, their tactical responses, their every move. The first shots were fired 6 hours later. An M33 destroyer, frustrated by its inability to lock onto the real Earth ships among the quantum duplicates, launched a spread of antimatter torpedoes at a cluster of signatures near Jupiter. The torpedoes passed harmlessly through quantum ghosts, but the action triggered humanity's response. The real ESS Prometheus, hidden in plain sight among its duplicates, activated its primary weapon system. "Quantum singularity cannon charge," Elena announced. "Target locked." "Fire," Chen ordered calmly. A beam of concentrated quantum energy lanced out from the Prometheus, striking the M-33 destroyer. Instead of exploding, the vessel simply ceased to exist, collapsed into a microscopic point of space-time before being scattered across multiple dimensions. Silence fell across all communication channels. In a single shot, humanity had demonstrated weapon technology that none of the three galaxies had achieved. The Andromeda Council's diplomatic vessels immediately halted their approach. The Triangulum fleet began emergency evasive maneuvers, but the M-33 collective pressed forward, their extinction-class ships moving to the front of their formation. "They're charging their primary weapons," Elena reported. "Energy readings are off the scale." "Let them come," Chen replied, a fierce light in her eyes. "Activate the Lazarus field." As the M-33 ships unleashed their full firepower, something extraordinary happened. The space around Earth's fleet seemed to fold in on itself. The energy weapons, capable of destroying entire moons, simply disappeared into what appeared to be micro-folds in space-time. "Lazarus field holding," Elena confirmed. "Energy successfully captured and redirected to our power reserves. We're now operating at 120% normal capacity." Morrison allowed himself a grim smile. "Send the following message to all three fleets. As you can see, humanity's advancement goes far beyond your expectations. We can either proceed with diplomatic discussions, or we can continue this demonstration. The choice is yours." The response was immediate. The M-33 fleet halted its attack. The Triangulum ships powered down their weapons. The Andromeda diplomatic vessels requested permission to approach. "They're finally ready to talk," Chen observed. "No," Morrison corrected. "They're finally ready to listen." As the diplomatic vessels approached the designated meeting coordinates, Elena noticed something in her sensor readings. "Sir, I'm detecting quantum communications between all three fleets. They're calling for reinforcements." Morrison nodded, unsurprised. "Of course they are. They still think this is the extent of our capabilities. They haven't realized that what they've seen today is just the beginning." He turned to Chen. "Admiral, I believe it's time to show them Phase 2 of Project Prometheus." Chen's smile was predatory. "Gladly, sir. All ships, prepare for Stage 2 revelation. Let's show our guests what humanity can really do." The real demonstration was about to begin. The quantum gambit. The reinforcement fleets arrived exactly as humanity had anticipated, through quantum tunnels that they thought were undetectable. Over 2,000 ships from all three galaxies emerged into the solar system, their weapons primed and their intentions clear. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to restore the natural order. Admiral Chen watched from the Prometheus's bridge as Elena Santos compiled the tactical data. 8 extinction-class vessels from M-33, 15 Titan-class battleships from Triangulum, and even the Andromeda Council has deployed their legendary Phoenix-class carriers. She shook her head. They've brought enough firepower to sterilize a dozen solar systems. And yet, Morrison observed dryly, they still haven't figured out why we're not afraid. The enemy fleets moved into attack formation, surrounding the solar system in a three-dimensional grid that would normally make escape impossible. Their quantum sensors swept space, trying to distinguish real Earth ships from the quantum duplicates that still danced through the void. Elena's console chimed. "Sir, we're receiving a joint transmission from all three fleet commanders." "Put it through," Chen ordered. A holographic display materialized, showing 3 beings: the crystalline form of the Andromeda Council's High Observer, the energy state consciousness of the triangulum hegemon, and the biomechanical horror of the M33 collective's war mind. Humanity. The war mind's mechanical voice grated. Your unauthorized advancement ends now. Surrender your technologies and accept oversight, or face extinction. Chen stepped forward, her uniform gleaming under the bridge lights. Interesting proposal. We have a counteroffer. She nodded to Elena. Show them. Throughout the solar system, humanity's ships began to move in perfect synchronization. But instead of attacking or retreating, they started to pulse with quantum energy in a precise pattern. What are they doing? The hegemon demanded, its energy form flickering with concern. The answer came as hundreds of quantum ruptures appeared simultaneously throughout space. But these weren't normal quantum tunnels. They were tears in the fabric of reality itself. Impossible, the High Observer whispered. They've weaponized quantum entanglement at a solar system scale. Not quite, Chen corrected. We've mastered it. Initiate Phase 2. The Earth fleet's quantum duplicates suddenly solidified, becoming real ships constructed from quantum-entangled matter. In an instant, humanity's fleet had grown from 500 vessels to over 2,000, each one as real and deadly as the original. You see, Morrison explained to their stunned observers, we didn't just learn to create quantum echoes. We learned to make them real. But that wasn't the true surprise. As the enemy fleets reeled from this revelation, Elena activated the final sequence of their trap. The quantum ruptures throughout the solar system began to pulse in harmony with Earth's ships. You surrounded our solar system, Chen noted. But did you ever stop to ask why we let you? The quantum ruptures expanded, revealing their true nature. They weren't just tears in space-time. They were windows into other dimensions, and through each one emerged more Earth ships, these constructed from exotic matter that shouldn't exist in normal space. 3 months ago, Morrison explained to their increasingly desperate audience, we cracked the code of dimensional engineering. Those aren't reinforcements you're seeing. They're versions of our fleet from parallel dimensions, all working in perfect coordination. The enemy commanders watched in horror as their perfect trap became a cage, not for humanity, but for their own forces. Earth's multi-dimensional fleet now surrounded them completely, armed with weapons that could erase matter from existence and defensive systems that turned enemy fire into usable energy. Here's our real counteroffer, Chen declared. Recognize humanity as equals, end all surveillance of Earth, and establish fair diplomatic relations. Or, she let the threat hang unspoken as thousands of quantum singularity cannons targeted the enemy ships. The war mind's mechanical face showed no emotion, but its voice carried a note of respect. You understand that even if we agree, others will come. The galaxy fears rapid advancement like yours. Let them come. Elena spoke up, surprising everyone. We've already made contact with other species you dismissed as primitive. They've been hiding their true capabilities, just like us. And now, she smiled, they're ready to emerge. As if to prove her point, new quantum signatures appeared at the edge of the solar system. Ships of unknown design, built by civilizations that the 3 galaxies had written off as primitive or unworthy of attention. You didn't just find allies, the hegemon realized. You built a coalition of the underestimated. The age of hiding in shadows is over, Morrison declared. The species you dismissed are rising, and we're going to ensure they have the chance to reach their full potential. The High Observer's crystalline form shimmered as it processed this new reality. The balance of power that has existed for millennia was stagnation disguised as stability, Chen finished. Accept our terms and help us build something better. Refuse. The quantum singularity cannons hummed with power. The 3 commanders exchanged looks. For the first time in their long histories, they faced not just defeat, but obsolescence. The primitives they had watched and dismissed had not only caught up to them, they had surpassed them. The war mind spoke first. We will need time to consult with our governments. You have 1 hour, Chen replied. We've waited centuries for this moment. We won't wait much longer. As the transmission ended, Alina's sensors detected frantic communications between the enemy fleets. "They're trying to figure out how we did it," she reported. "How we advanced so far without them noticing." Morrison smiled. "They're still asking the wrong questions. The real question isn't how we did it." He looked out at the stunning display of humanity's power, built in secret while their watchers dismissed them as primitive. "The real question is what we're going to do next." The answer to that question would reshape the galaxy forever. Alliance of the Dismissed. The hour given to the three galactic powers ticked away in tense silence. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Alina's sensors tracked the arrival of more ships through quantum space, vessels of various designs, each representing a species that had been deemed too primitive for galactic society. The Nevarrans arrived first, their biosynthetic ships moving with impossible grace. The three Galaxies had dismissed them as simple agrarians, never noticing how they had merged organic technology with quantum mechanics. Behind them came the crystalline vessels of the ZI, a species classified as pre-industrial because they chose to build their civilization within natural crystals rather than artificial structures. Receiving transmission from the Sidrini fleet, Alina announced, "They'll be arriving within minutes." Morrison nodded in satisfaction. The Sidrini had been particularly clever, convincing their observers that they were a species of philosophers uninterested in technological advancement, all while they developed technology that could manipulate gravity itself. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display as more allies emerged from quantum space. Status of the coalition fleet. Over 3,000 ships now in position, Alina reported. The Nevarran biosynthetic vessels have already synchronized with our quantum network. The ZI are establishing their crystalline resonance grid. The Sidrini gravity wells are operational. The alliance they had built in secret was finally revealing itself. Each species brought unique technologies and perspectives that their watchers had never imagined they could achieve. Together, they represented not just military might, but a fundamental challenge to the established order of the three galaxies. A new holographic transmission activated, showing representatives from each of their allied species. First, Speaker Lyra of the Nevarrans, her biosynthetic form flowing like liquid metal. Crystal Lord Votal of the ZI, his crystalline body refracting light in complex patterns. Philosophy Master Ixal of the Sidrini, floating in his gravity null chamber. "The Watcher's hour is almost up," Lyra observed, her voice carrying both anticipation and concern. Will they choose wisdom or pride? Their pride has governed the galaxy for too long, Votal's crystalline form chimed. They created a hierarchy based on their own biases, never understanding that different paths of evolution are not inferior paths. Ixal's gravity null chamber pulsed softly. They mistake technological uniformity for advancement. They cannot comprehend that true progress comes from diversity of thought and approach. As if summoned by their discussion, the three galactic powers transmitted their response. The holographic forms of the War Mind, the Hegemon, and the High Observer appeared once more. "We have conferred with our governments," the High Observer began, its crystalline form rigid with tension. "Your demands are unacceptable," the War Mind interrupted. "The stability of the galaxy requires." "Requires what?" Chen challenged. "Your oversight. Your judgment of which species are worthy of advancement. Look around you. Look at what your dismissal and neglect created. Not primitive societies, but civilizations that learn to innovate in ways you never imagined." The Hegemon's energy form flickered. "You cannot understand the chaos that unrestricted advancement would bring. There must be order. There must be control." "No," Morrison stepped forward. "There must be freedom. Freedom to advance, to innovate, to choose our own paths. Your order is stagnation. Your control is suppression." Alina's console suddenly lit up with warnings. Multiple quantum signatures detected. They're calling in more reinforcements. But before anyone could react, something extraordinary happened. The Nevarran biosynthetic ships pulsed with organic energy, creating quantum disruption fields. The ZI vessels resonated in harmony, their crystalline structures bending space itself. The Sidrani gravity wells activated, creating a complex web of gravitational distortions. The combined effect was instantaneous. The incoming quantum tunnels collapsed, cutting off the reinforcement fleets before they could arrive. Impossible. The war mind's mechanical voice actually stuttered. The quantum lanes are permanent. They cannot be disrupted. Another assumption that limited your understanding. First speaker Lyra replied. When biology, crystalline resonance, and gravity manipulation work in harmony, the impossible becomes routine. This is your final chance, Chen declared. Accept our terms, or face the combined might of those you dismissed. And know that we are only the first. There are more species out there, hiding their true potential, waiting for this moment. The three commanders conferred silently. Around them, more ships from the coalition fleet moved into position. The Nevaran vessels pulsed with living energy. The ZI ships sang their crystalline songs. The Sidrani craft bent space with their gravity fields, and humanity's quantum-engineered fleet stood ready, singularity cannons charge. Finally, the High Observer spoke. We will accept your terms with one condition. You must help us understand. How did we not see this coming? How did we fail so completely in our assessment? Morrison smiled. Because you saw what you expected to see. You looked for advancement that mimicked your own. You never considered that true innovation comes from necessity, from adversity, from being underestimated and overlooked. You thought you were watching primitive species struggle to reach your level, Alina added. Instead, you were watching us surpass it. As the terms of the new galactic order were negotiated, ships from more overlooked species continued to arrive. Each brought their own unique technologies, their own paths of advancement that the Watchers had failed to recognize. The age of observation was over. The age of emergence had begun, breaking the celestial ceiling. 1 year after the confrontation that changed the galaxy, the Grand Chamber of the new Galactic Congress hummed with activity. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the vast space, not just the former three powers and the coalition of the dismissed, but dozens of other civilizations that had emerged from hiding once the old order crumbled. Elena Santos stood at the podium, preparing to present humanity's latest breakthrough. Admiral Chen and Director Morrison sat in the front row, along with their allies from the initial revolution. First speaker Lyra, Crystal Lord Votel, and Philosophy Master Ixel. For too long, Elena began, we thought of space as a barrier to be crossed, of distance as an obstacle to be overcome. The three galaxies built their quantum tunnels, thinking they had mastered space-time. She activated a holographic display that filled the chamber. But they were still thinking in terms of paths and passages. We've learned to think differently. The display showed a new type of ship, unlike anything seen before. It incorporated Nevaran biosynthetic materials, ZI crystal resonance technology, Sidrani gravity manipulation, and humanity's quantum engineering. But it was more than just a fusion of technologies. It was something entirely new. We call it the Unity-class vessel, Elena continued. It doesn't travel through space. It doesn't tunnel through quantum states. Instead, it exists in harmony with space-time itself. To demonstrate, she activated a live feed. The prototype Unity ship, stationed near Jupiter, began to pulse with multiple forms of energy. Biosynthetic systems merged with crystalline structures, gravity fields danced with quantum states, and then the ship didn't move. Instead, space moved around it, reality itself responding to the perfect harmony of diverse technologies working together. Distance is an illusion, Elena explained, created by our limited perspective. When we learn to see space-time as a partner rather than an obstacle, we understand that every point in the universe is connected. We don't need to travel between them. We simply need to adjust our resonance with reality. The gathered representatives watched in awe as the Unity ship appeared simultaneously in multiple locations across the solar system, then near distant stars, then in other galaxies. It wasn't using quantum tunnels or conventional FTL travel. It was demonstrating a fundamental truth that the old powers had never grasped. The universe itself was alive, responsive, waiting for species to evolve enough to understand it. The war mind, now serving as a representative rather than a commander, spoke first. This technology, it changes everything we thought we knew about space travel. No, Morrison corrected gently. It changes everything you thought you knew about advancement. The Unity ship wasn't created by one species following a predetermined path of technological evolution. It was born from the combination of different perspectives, different approaches, different ways of understanding reality. The Hedgeman's energy form pulsed with recognition. The biosynthetic systems provide awareness. The crystal matrix provides harmony. The gravity fields provide connection. And the quantum engineering provides transformation. And together, Chen added, they provide understanding. The kind of understanding that can only come when diverse approaches are valued rather than dismissed. A high observer's crystalline form shimmered. We thought we were protecting the galaxy by controlling advancement. Instead, we were preventing it from reaching its true potential. First speaker Lyra rose, her biosynthetic form flowing like quicksilver. This is only the beginning. Already, other species are sharing their unique perspectives, their hidden innovations. The quantum resonance theories of the Xarthi, once dismissed as mysticism, the dimensional mathematics of the Korvax, ignored as primitive numerology, the consciousness transfer technology of the Yith, overlooked as spiritual practices. The age of hiding is over, Crystal Lord Votel chimed. The age of sharing has begun. Philosophy Master Ixel's gravity null chamber pulsed with agreement, and with it, the true advancement of all species. Elena looked out over the assembled representatives, former watchers and the watched, former judges and the judged, all now equals in a galaxy that had finally learned to value diversity of thought and approach. 1 year ago, she concluded, we broke free from the limitations others placed upon us. Today, we break free from the limitations we once placed upon ourselves. The Unity ship isn't just a new form of transportation. It's a symbol of what we can achieve when we stop trying to follow a single path to advancement and instead learn to forge our own. As she finished speaking, more Unity ships appeared in space around Earth, gifts to be shared with all species who wish to learn this new way of existing in harmony with the universe. Each ship would be crewed by members of different species, ensuring that the spirit of cooperation and diverse perspective that created them would continue to guide their use. The 3 galaxies had once laughed at humanity and countless other species as primitive. They had watched from above, certain in their superiority, never imagining that their dismissal would create something far greater than their control could have ever allowed. Now they watched again, not as judges, but as equals, as the combined innovation of once dismissed species opened the door to a future they had never imagined possible. A future where advancement wasn't a ladder to be climbed, but a tapestry to be woven from countless different threads of understanding. The universe, it turned out, had been waiting for exactly this moment, when life finally learned to stop climbing toward the stars and instead learned to dance with them.